When you hear the name of Zoltán Kodály, what comes to your mind? For many people, it's hand signs, so-mi songs, so mi fi so mi do la re, and so on. Group singing, or rhythm syllables like the ones used with tar and titti. Ti-ti-ta, ti-ti-ti-ta, syncope, ti-ti-ti-ta, and so on. These images are real. They belong to practices that grew out of his influence, but they only show the surface. They are fragments. And if we stop there, we miss the heart of what Kodály really gave us. Kodály himself never sat down and said, "Here's a method, follow these steps." What he left us was something much deeper, a philosophy of music education. At its core, that vision is simple but radical. Music belongs to everyone. Musical literacy should be a right, not a privilege, and education must cultivate inner hearing, creativity, and expressive freedom. This philosophy doesn't only shape the first stages of learning, it reaches all the way up to the highest levels of musicianship training. At its peak, it asks performers to refine inner hearing, rhythm, and listening so deeply that technique itself becomes instinct, the body aligning with imagination. The sound you imagine inside is the sound you can project outside. So, if this is the case, why do so many people think Kodály is just about children's activities or group singing? And what happens if we extend his principles into the most advanced forms of musicianship training, well beyond the solfège classroom, and bring them directly into the instrumental lesson, into the dialogue between teacher and student, or even into our own solitary practice? Let's dive in and see. Let's start with one of the biggest misconceptions about Kodály. When people talk about the so-called Kodály method, they often reduce it to a handful of tools: psalmization syllables and hand signs, rhythm syllables like tar and titti, or group singing. Now, these are valuable practices. They've been refined by generations of teachers, but they are not the essence of Kodály's contribution. They are tools, not the philosophy itself. Why does this reduction happen? Because visible tools are easy to copy, because ideas travel faster than their context, and because simplification is comfortable. It's easier to remember Kodály as the hand signs person than to grasp his broader vision. When Kodály is reduced to surface techniques, his real impact is then lost. 2 words about Kodály. Zoltán Kodály was born in Kecskemét, Hungary in 1882 and died in Budapest in 1967. He began as a composer and ethnomusicologist, collecting Hungarian folk songs with Béla Bartók. From the 1920s onward, he turned increasingly to education. There he saw a paradox. Hungary had a rich heritage, yet musical literacy was weak. Kodály believed this was unacceptable. He argued that musical literacy should be the right of every child, and by literacy he meant more than decoding notes. singing, inner hearing, and experiencing music as naturally as language. So what did he leave us? Not a rigid method, but a set of fundamental principles. Music for everyone, singing as the foundation, inner hearing before notation, folk music as the natural starting point, high quality repertoire only, sequential learning, integration of rhythm, pitch, notation, improvisation, and expression. And the ultimate goal, human wholeness through music. That's the essence. The tools serve the principles, but they are not the philosophy. So, if these are Koday's principles, what happens when we bring them into the instrumental lesson? Not just for beginners or groups, but in the one-to-one encounter between teacher and student, and even in personal practice. To explore that, let's focus on the first and perhaps most essential dimension of musicianship, inner hearing. Inner hearing means imagining sound inwardly before producing it. In an instrumental lesson, this makes the difference between passive execution and active, musically aware performance. In the passive mode, you see a note, translate it into a movement, press a key or bow a string, and only then hear the sound. In the active mode, you perceive melodic and harmonic structures, feel their semantic meaning within the phrase, imagine their sound inwardly before you play, and then check, does it match what you expected? To make these ideas clearer, I'll now introduce a few graphs that illustrate how the relationship between technique and awareness develops across different stages. Each line has a specific meaning. We'll see active awareness, the real path of awareness when inner hearing and understanding are cultivated intentionally. Then we'll see passive awareness, a reference line showing what awareness would look like if the student relied only on the passive mode. Then we will have mechanical technical ability, the dexterity developed through repetition without deep awareness. And finally, integrated technical ability, the technique developed together with comprehension. Later, when both modes work together, we'll refer to overall technical ability, a synthesis guided increasingly by awareness. In the first graph, we observe awareness alone. Active awareness rises steadily through deliberate cultivation. Passive awareness grows only slightly, nourished by inference. This shows why inner hearing must be trained intentionally. Otherwise, awareness never truly expands. Here, we add mechanical technical ability, the dexterity gained through repetition without inner sound expectation. Its curve climbs fast, while passive awareness stays low. The wide gap represents what we often see, technical fluency without real musicianship. Now, we move entirely into the active mode. Integrated technical ability grows only in proportion to active awareness. The repertoire chosen respects this boundary. Pieces are tackled only when they can be played with full comprehension. Progress may appear slower, but it's stable. Technique follows awareness rather than outpacing it. Awareness sets both the ceiling and the direction of growth. When both modes coexist, mechanical technical ability rises quickly. Active awareness starts lower but grows steadily. Passive awareness lingers below. Notice the two gaps between technique and active awareness and between technique and passive awareness. They show how far understanding lags behind dexterity. As time extends into the intermediate stage, technical ability continues to grow, though more slowly. Active awareness keeps rising, gradually narrowing the gap. Passive awareness also grows, but much less, drifting further from the real developmental core. At the mature stage, technical growth stabilizes while active awareness nears it. Passive awareness remains low, limited to inference. The distance between technical ability and active awareness defines the ambitus zone. Repertoire that is playable but not yet fully sustained by awareness. This ambitus marks a sensitive territory. Repertoire within it can still be undertaken because it acts as a stimulus for growth, but it doesn't automatically build awareness. Passive awareness may evolve indirectly, yet active awareness needs a dedicated program. Specific lesson activities that strengthen inner hearing and comprehension. Only then does the ambitus tend to shrink and thus become more truly formative. Otherwise, repertoire becomes a display of fingers rather than an act of musicianship. At the advanced stage, awareness leads. Overall technical ability and active awareness begin at a comparable level, but awareness now drives technique forward. Imagination and refined listening stimulate the body to adapt. Technique chases awareness. Passive awareness has reached its limit. It flattens, showing the ceiling of inference-based learning. Here, the musician becomes self-reflective. Progress is measured in nuance, not speed. So, across all these graphs, one principle emerges. When technique outruns awareness, progress is unstable. When awareness lags behind, interpretation is shallow. But when both grow together, awareness, guiding and technique responding, musicianship flourishes as a unified art. And what about exercises? Selective, targeted practice is essential. It refines movement and coordination, addressing specific needs. But it must always be framed within a musical contour, connected to phrase, expression, and inner sound. Then exercises become intelligent rituals, micro-activities emerging naturally from a student's evolution, meaningful steps within a broader path. Now, to recap, inner hearing transforms instrumental study. It distinguishes passive from active playing, aligns technique with imagination, prevents superficial execution, and gives every note meaning. And this is only the foundation. In future videos, I'll explore practical strategies, concrete activities that bring these ideas into the lesson, adaptable from beginner to advanced levels. That way, the principles become lived practice. In the next episode, we'll move to the second dimension, rhythm embodiment, how pulse, meter, and time become living energy within performance. If these reflections resonate with you, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you approach inner hearing and awareness in your own teaching or practice. You can also find a deeper written version of this topic on my blog at rehearseflow.com, where each article explores these dimensions in greater detail. And if you'd like to follow the full series, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you won't miss the next video in this journey through the core dimension of musicianship. Thank you.